The Memorial Day we observe tomorrow was inspired by a Southern tradition called Decoration Day. A Decoration Day can be marked for private as well as public reasons, as Conor Knighton discovered in one of our national parks on the trail. In the mansions bright and blessed, field green where rose of blood.
It feels like a big family reunion. And in a way, it is. Several different families have come together on this Sunday afternoon for a chance to be reunited with their ancestors.
This is still home, even though it's never been my own.
In the South, it's what they call a decoration day. Flowers are carefully placed on the headstones. There are songs, sandwiches,
Many years ago,
even a bit of scripture.
there was a whole lot of tears shed.
But this North Carolina Decoration Day can only happen on one day every year.
Once a year to go visit your ancestors is not enough. Other people can just drive to their car to the cemetery and we can't.
A visit to this remote cemetery begins with a boat ride across a lake.
There you go.
You're well.
Then it's a long wait
There you are.
for a chance to catch a bumpy ride up to the top of a mountain. It's all because these graves are located inside of a national park.
Many of the people represented here today were uprooted for the creation of the park and also when the lake was built.
Dana Sohn is a ranger at Great Smoky Mountains National Park. This backwoods cabin was built long before this stretch of North Carolina became parkland. There were once 6,000 homes here, but in the 1940s, most of those settlers were forced to leave. The Fontana Dam, built by the Tennessee Valley Authority, was created to provide power during World War II.
20 million cubic feet of water roar through every second.
It flooded much of the nearby area.
Well, they built the dam. They pushed us out.
It's a time Mildred Johnson remembers well.
We either had to leave or swim.
You're laughing about it now. Was that sad back then?
Well, yes. But
Mildred grew up in these hills. But when Uncle Sam came calling, her family packed up and moved. Fontana Lake was created, and the rest of the land became a national park.
back then, you respected and obeyed your government.
The government made the displaced residents a promise. Once the war was over, they would build a road to provide access to those old family cemeteries. The park calls it Lakeview Drive. But drive for 6 miles, and this road just suddenly stops. After environmental delays, financial concerns, the road was never finished. In Swain County, North Carolina, they call Lakeview Drive by a different name.
You can't run for any elected office and come to Swain County without knowing about the road to nowhere.
The road is part of Congressman Mark Meadows' district, a place where many have come to distrust the federal government.
You know, when you've had promises broken so often and trust that has dissipated, it takes a while to gain that back.
In 2010, instead of finishing the road, the Park Service settled with Swain County for $52 million, money that would go to support area schools and local programs. But 7 years later, less than a fourth of that has been paid. The Park Service says Congress needs to put the money in the budget, which it hasn't done. Congressman Meadows points to a Government Accountability Office study that states the Park Service could actually pay the entire amount due.
The frustration of the bureaucracy on why the people of Swain County can't get the money that they're owed is just mind-boggling.
That frustration has led Swain County to sue the federal government for the remaining $39.2 million. It all feels like another broken promise. CBS News was there back in 1978.
The former residents have now gained permission for a series of one-day visits.
When, as an attempt to make things right, the park began offering trips across the lake.
For most, it is the first time they have been able to return in 35 years.
We're not legally mandated to do such a thing, but it's the right thing to do, and it allows us to just continue telling this story.
That's what these decoration days are all about.
You see people that your mother grew up with and hear stories about what it was like to live here.
It's a chance to remember the settlers who once called this place home.
It was all a huge community who depended on each other. So the old saying, it takes a village, that came from communities like this.
For an afternoon, at least, there was a community thriving again in these hills.
We ate really well. There was some pretty great food.
Oh, you better believe it.
That road that was promised long ago isn't coming. But these families keep coming back every year. The land here is already preserved. It's the heritage they want to make sure survives.